With my college entrance exam scores out, I'm definitely getting into Harvard, while my cousin is going to the worst school for excavator technology. She threw a tantrum and smashed things at home, shouting, "Aren't you supposed to replace her for college? The one going to Harvard should be me." I sneered. That was in my past life. In this life, Harvard is not an option, but excavator technical school welcomes you. 1. In the classroom, the students around me were writing furiously. My cousin was desperately kicking my chair from behind. This was her signal for me to pass her the answers. I ignored her. My heart is pounding wildly in my chest, my palms are sweating. The exam paper on the desk, if I remember correctly, this is the first exam of the senior year of high school, but I've already graduated from high school. Car accident, imprisonment, a stolen college admission. Those scenes, which still sting when I recall them, flashed through my mind. 2. One night after the college entrance exam. That year, the rain poured down in torrents. With no adults at home, my cousin insisted on taking me to test drive her father's new car on an unnamed path. She drove faster and faster without a license. I sat in the passenger seat, nervously gripping the seatbelt. Someone is crossing the zebra crossing. In her nervousness, she mistakenly stepped on the accelerator instead of the brake. A person was sent flying. She swerved the steering wheel sharply, and the side of the car I was in directly collided. With a streetlight, the airbag deployed, I was severely injured, with a wet sensation on my head. A sharp, high-pitched ringing in my head made it feel like it was splitting open. Since the car hit on my side, my cousin's injuries were much less severe than mine. I told her to go down and save the person. She trembled and muttered to herself, "I've killed someone, I'm going to jail." "I can't go to jail, I still have to go to college." "Right. I can't go to jail, I still have to go to college." Later, she fled the scene after hitting and killing someone while driving without a license, but it was me who ended up in prison. She came to see me off, dressed in high heels and carrying a designer bag, looking radiant and glamorous. "Don't worry, go ahead and serve your time, I'll attend university in your place." She tossed the university admission letter right in front of me. My life was completely swapped. I became a high school graduate with a criminal record, unable to get a degree after being released from prison, and could only work on the assembly line in a factory. In the end, due to a coworker's improper operation of a machine, I was pulled into the machinery and lost my life. Meanwhile, my cousin, Chui Tong, who stole my life, attended a prestigious university and met a decently wealthy second-generation heir. After graduation, she joined a fairly good company, got married, had children, and life went smoothly. 3. My cousin kicked my chair with increasing force, pulling me back from the painful memories of my past life. At the same time, I clearly realized that I had returned to my senior year of high school. The cells in my body are screaming clearly and sharply, "Since I'm starting over, what was lost can always be found again." For I carefully reviewed the exam papers from the start of the semester. The questions for this senior year of high school entrance simulation exam were created by the school's own teachers, although the teaching staff at City No. 3 High School has always been top-notch. The teachers also gauge the difficulty of the entrance exam questions themselves and do not make them too challenging. Therefore, the difficulty level of this set of questions is only slightly below average. However, that's just it. My cousin can't write it either, although her grades are ranked above mine, but that's all because she copied from me. She's actually a complete academic slacker, playing with her nails in class and getting manicures after class every time we take an exam. Besides copying from me, she also demands that I control my scores so that I always end up 30 to 50 points lower than her, all because I live in her house, under her roof. My cousin kicks my chair harder and harder, and she keeps pushing her desk forward, squeezing my space. I know she's getting anxious. There are only half an hour left until the end of the exam. I lowered my gaze, carefully calculated the score in my mind, and then wrote the answer on the paper, taking advantage of the invigilator's blank period. When the next classmate handed in their paper, I passed the note backward. My cousin finally stopped kicking my stool. I looked at the answers on my answer sheet, recalling my grades from the previous life in this opening exam. Then, I picked up my pen and revised the answers all over again. Finally, the last subject was over, and the classmates, as if liberated, cheered and rushed out of the school gate with their backpacks. When almost everyone had left, my cousin threw her backpack into my arms and gave orders with an air of authority, "Wait for me here, and do your homework while you're at it." She was putting on makeup in the classroom, getting ready to go out with her girlfriends. I was staying at my cousin's house, and she asked me to wait here just so she could have an excuse when she got home, saying she stayed at school with me to do homework. This trick never fails. In the eyes of my uncle and aunt, I was an honest, simple-minded kid from a small town who didn't know how to lie. Originally, I had no chance of attending this key municipal high school. It just so happened that year there was a policy called Poverty Alleviation and Educational Support, pairing with prestigious schools, and I scored first in the entire county, so no, 3 high school chose me. Upon hearing this news, my uncle's family suddenly made a trip back to our hometown and kindly persuaded me to live with them. My uncle's family lives in the city, and since my cousin will also be attending this key city school in the future, the 2 sisters can keep each other company. At first, my family refused, as we didn't want to trouble our relatives. Then my aunt said sarcastically, "You're going to study right at our doorstep, yet you won't stay with us. If word gets out, who knows how the folks back home will criticize me, saying we turn our backs on people once we have money." Both of my parents are gentle-natured people who are unwilling to disrupt the harmony among siblings, so they didn't let me stay at the school dormitory and instead had me live at my cousin's house, but they didn't know that this decision would end up ruining the rest of my life. But it's okay, given another chance, I won't make the same mistake again. 5. The results of the start-of-term exam are out, the teacher said mysteriously from the podium. This time, one student in our class has made significant progress. At that moment, my cousin was discussing with her friends where to get a manicure after class, and her attention was completely off the teacher. Chui Tong, suddenly called upon. My cousin stood up with a hint of panic. "Your grades used to hover around the 20th place in the class, but now you've improved to 9th place. It seems you worked very hard during the summer vacation." Everyone should learn from Chui Tong and seize every opportunity to study. The classroom erupted in applause, with exclamations of, "Wow, Xiao Tong, you're doing great. You must have studied really hard during the summer break. Which tutoring class did you attend? Can you recommend it to me too?" Her classmates chattered away, asking her questions. Her cousin was still completely bewildered. She instinctively looked at me, because according to the answers I usually gave her, they generally only hovered around the 20th place in the class. I clapped for her with all my might. "Well done, Chui Tong. It wasn't in vain that I worked so hard to copy the answers for you. Luckily, you obediently wrote them all on the exam paper. Didn't you want a high score? Here you go, but it remains to be seen whether you'll be able to handle it in the future." Suddenly, a close friend of hers asked a question. "Weren't you playing games with us all summer? When did you have time to study?" Chui Tong, who was gradually immersed in the praise from teachers and classmates, glared at her fiercely, signaling her to keep quiet. Then, with a smile, she said to the teacher, "Thank you for your affirmation, teacher. I will continue to study hard in the future and strive for even greater progress." Good. What Chui Tong said is also what I wanted to say to everyone. Seize the day, strive hard. The classroom erupted in applause once again. My cousin sat down contentedly. I withdrew my gaze, but deep down, I thought to myself, next, enjoy the glory. Cousin, a fall on flat ground can never compare to a fall from the peak. My results are out too. It's no different from the usual top 20 or so. And I even dropped a few places, as expected. I did it on purpose. The answers I wrote on my own paper were different from those I gave to Chui Tong, deliberately changing many of them. I changed all the correct answers to wrong ones. In my previous life, I exposed my achievements too much, which caught the attention of my aunt's family and ruined my life. This time, I've decided to pretend to be a poor student to protect myself. You improve, I regress, just to keep you happy to the end. After class, Chui Tong lingered around me several times. I know what she wanted to ask. Based on my usual performance, the answer I gave her would only have placed me around the 20th rank. This time, I suddenly made it into the top 10, so she must have found it strange, but in the end, she still didn't come to talk to me. After all, at school, she had always looked down on interacting with someone like me who came from the town middle school, afraid it would tarnish her reputation. 6. When I got home in the evening, Chui Tong was practically on a loop at home, celebrating the fact that she had ranked 9th. At first, my aunt wasn't particularly thrilled, but as soon as she heard I had only ranked in the 20s, her face immediately lit up with joy. Pain lies in comparison, and so does happiness. Stepping on others doubles the joy. Oh, what's going on? Xiao Tong has improved so much, but why has Ling Ling regressed instead? Chui Tong looked at me for a few seconds, then hugged her mother's arm. What's that, Mom? Didn't you also sign me up for tutoring classes outside? It's normal to make progress. Auntie was cheerful, yet also sarcastic towards me. It seems the tutoring classes weren't a waste. Our Xiao Tong is just amazing. Ling Ling, your first place in the county has slipped quite a bit. You really need to catch up. Do you need me to sign you up for a tutoring class too? I smiled. No need. Tutoring classes are too expensive. I'll just study more on my own. expense isn't the issue. The worry is that it might not be effective. After all, not everyone is as smart as our Xiao Tong, who picks things up right away. Yes, 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 your Xiao Tong is the best. In her previous life, Chui Tong's grades were actually terrible, but her father had high hopes for her, and every time she did poorly on an exam, he would scold her half to death. She was under a lot of pressure, so she used moral blackmail on me, saying that since I ate and used her family's resources, I had to let her copy my answers. I used to be immature and couldn't handle pressure well. Every time she said that, I felt a strong sense of guilt, and seeing her get scolded so harshly made me feel bad, so I agreed. Later, I found out that the reason my uncle's family had suddenly been so kind as to take me in was actually to have me take the college entrance exam in place of my cousin, to secure her a spot at a good university. When I was getting ready to sleep at night, Chui Tong finally couldn't hold back and came to find me. Did you write the answer you gave me yourself? She crossed her arms, interrogating me as if I were a suspect. No matter how she might deceive others, only she truly knows whether she copied or not. Her greatest concern now is that if I wrote those answers myself, then I truly have the ability to rank 9th. Perhaps anyone could do better than her, but not me. However, I don't plan to tell her the truth either. Outperforming her in grades was never my intention. I pretended to hesitate and deliberately gave an excuse full of holes. No, I just saw Hua Jing's answer, so I copied it for you. Hua Jing is a top student, always ranking either first or second in our class. It's not surprising that copying her answer would land me in 9th place. The flaw is that I sit very far away from her. Fortunately, Chui Tong isn't too slow either and quickly spotted the blind spot in my words. What are you pretending? Can you even see her answer sheet from that far away? I didn't say a word, just quickly hid the phone in my hand behind my back, a very obvious move. Then, avoiding eye contact, I said, "Really, I'm not lying. You're hiding something if you're not lying to me." She tried to snatch my phone with brute force. "Is there something inside? Show it to me." "It's my phone. There's my privacy inside. You have no right to look. Right now you're in my house. Everything here is mine. I have the right to look at your phone too. Hand it over." She's always been this domineering. That's how it was in my previous life. Once, a boy wrote me a love letter. I didn't intend to accept it, but I respected him, politely declined, and carefully put the letter away. Somehow, she found out about it, without my permission. She came into my room, rummaged through my things, and then made a big deal out of the love letter. They said I was the one who seduced him and even exaggerated the story to my parents. My parents were so worried they thought I was being led astray here, and they called to scold me. I was really upset and went to ask her why she went into my room and went through my things without my permission. She said the same thing. "This is my house, everything in it is mine, and I can look at whatever I want. Then in this life, I will grant your wish. If you want to look, go ahead and look." 7. At first, I pretended to resist with all my might. The more I resisted, the more Chui Tong felt something was off, and the more eagerly she snatched at it. After struggling for a while, I half-heartedly handed the phone to her. After getting the phone, Chui Tong pushed me directly. Fragile as I was, I fell to the ground, too hurt to get up, and could only watch helplessly as she looked at the phone that hadn't been locked in time and the chat history that hadn't been closed. That was the chat history between me and a senior who graduated from our school and is now studying at Harvard. Inside were the tutoring questions she had sent me, which were exactly the same as the exam papers from our high school entrance test. Chui Tong's eyes gradually widened. "No wonder you got so many right. Someone was helping you guess the answers." "No, it's really because I saw Hua Jing's answers." I refused to admit it, but my expression was utterly flustered. Chui Tong held up my phone high, looking as if she had seen right through me. "That was a chat record I specifically paid a professional online to forge, and I even instructed them to set the time of the chat record to before the entrance exam. It was all to make Chui Tong believe that I scored high because of the prediction papers given by the Harvard senior." "Stop pretending. Look at the chat time. This prediction paper was given to you right before the entrance exam. I don't believe you didn't look at a single question." I felt both ashamed and guilty, desperately trying to squeeze out tears. "Don't tell anyone. I just really wanted to do well on the exam. Everyone says that as the top student from a small town, I don't have what it takes. I just wanted to prove that I can do well too." Then I heard that this senior student is often invited by our school's exam question committee to help create test questions, so I found a way to reach out to her. When Chui Tong heard that senior was also one of the question setters, Her eyes couldn't have been brighter. I watched helplessly as she forwarded this senior student to her through my account, and then deleted the senior from my account. The phone has just returned to my hand. From now on, the senior is mine. As for you, the top scholar, it's better not to mention it anymore. It's embarrassing, she left with satisfaction. After a while, I finally got up from the ground, dusted off the clothes. To be honest, acting is quite exhausting, then switched to another WeChat account on your phone to log in. Seeing Chui Tong's friend request, "Hello senior, I'm willing to pay a high price for the predicted exam papers for all subjects at Sanjong." I curled the corner of my mouth and approved the request. 8. I plan to create a legend, use my achievements to elevate Chui Tong to the highest position, let her have all the flowers and applause, lose herself in the glory, and become spoiled. Finally, one day, make her lose everything, let her also taste the pain of having everything beautiful within reach, only to have it snatched away in an instant. However, creating a legend must be done without leaving any trace. Previously, Chui Tong's consistent mid-tier ranking around the 20s might not have caught anyone's attention, but now, with her sudden leap to 9th place, coupled with the teacher's praise, she is bound to attract the attention of many classmates. Slipping her a note is no longer practical, but I still need her to keep achieving good grades, and having a senior who is accurate at predicting exam questions is the best way to do it. In the final year of high school, time and energy may be scarce, but exams are definitely not in short supply. As the second exam approached, Chui Tong, who had been praised for her rapid progress as a positive example for a long time, had never felt anxious about exams before, but this time she was clearly anxious. After all, she was ranked 9th and had been highly praised by the teacher in front of the whole class. If we send back more than 20 people again this time, wouldn't that be slapping ourselves in the face? So she stopped me and asked, "Is that senior's question really accurate?" I stammered, "I don't know, someone else told me about it." "You'd better not believe it. What if it's not accurate?" She hesitated. He asked me again, "How many points can you get this time?" I should be able to get back to my original level, around the top 20. I've been studying really hard lately. Speechless. "Can't you just get 9th place like me?" I pursed my lips. "I'm not as good as you, senior, useless, and you call yourself the top student in the county." After cursing, Chui Tong left. A moment later, I received a message on my phone. "Senior, could you create a set of prediction papers for the upcoming test at No. 3 Middle School?" I said yes and quoted a high price. Chui Tong hesitated a bit because the price was too high. She bargained with me. "Can it be cheaper?" "No bargaining. The prediction papers are only sold to one person. If you don't want them, I can find someone else. Many students from No. 3 High School have contacted me. First come, first served, and the highest bidder wins. If you want them, take them. If not, then don't. Let's not waste each other's time." "Senior, don't be angry. I'll take them. I'll transfer the money to you now." Chui Tong had plenty of pocket money, and it seemed her father had even given her a supplementary credit card with a fairly high limit. Basically, she had a lot of cash. To avoid exposing myself, I sent her a virtual bank account number and asked her to transfer the money there. Chui Tong quickly sent me a screenshot of the transfer. Money in hand, goods delivered. I sent her the prediction papers I had compiled from memory. After all, these were questions I had taken in my previous life, papers I had studied countless times, all deeply imprinted in my mind. Now, recreating the exact same set of papers for all subjects is not a difficult task. I gave her the test questions and answers, including the full score essay from that time, without missing a single one. Of course, there were still a few questions that deviated slightly. If we go by the ranking from the previous life, this score control should place her around 8th in this exam. Progress will need to be a bit slower, otherwise, it would seem too fake and easily give away the act. Reminded her, just memorize it with confidence. If there are any mistakes, I'll refund based on the number of wrong answers according to the test paper and your written responses. Of course, I don't expect her to actually memorize everything. There are so many answers across all subjects that she wouldn't be able to remember them all. Chui Tong looked very happy and replied to me, "Thank you, senior," along with several cute kissing emojis. I exited the chat log with a straight face. Don't bother with all that. As long as you work hard to memorize the answers, that's the best way to thank me. Then, I noticed she wore a short skirt to every exam. Once after an exam, I accidentally saw her skirt flutter up, revealing densely written words all over her otherwise fair thighs. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "You really are something, Chui Tong. Your efforts to cheat are quite satisfying to me." 9. When the results of this month's exam came out, while everyone else's scores and rankings remained the same as in The previous life, Chui Tong managed to climb one spot higher. While announcing the results, the teacher's praise continued as usual, especially the math teacher, who was very pleased. This time, only one student in our class got a perfect score in math. You have no idea. The last big question on this math test was a trap set by the teachers in the question design group. Its difficulty is on par with that of a National Olympiad math competition question. Even Lu Hao, who has consistently ranked first in math in our grade, didn't get it all right. The math teacher had a loud voice and was prone to getting excited. After a passionate and enthusiastic build-up, he had raised the students' expectations sky high. Who on earth is it, teacher? Don't keep us in suspense. The students were all banging on their desks to stir up the atmosphere. The math teacher played along, announcing it just like a host at an award ceremony. With a loud voice and a drawn-out tone, she is Chui Tong. The students' eyes all turned to her, and applause broke out in unison. I also joined in the applause. Everything went very smoothly. I altered the questions on all the other exam papers, but I didn't change a single question on the math paper. In fact, for the last question, I even used a simplified method that the math teacher hadn't taught in class. That method was one he repeatedly explained in class only after this exam paper had been issued, and I remember it very clearly. Fortunately, Chui Tong lived up to expectations and copied every single question without missing any. Later, there's still a good show waiting for her. The math teacher showered Chui Tong with praise, especially for the last big question. Chui Tong used a very ingenious method. I originally planned to teach you this method after the monthly exam, but I didn't expect Chui Tong to have already mastered it. It seems Chui Tong really put in a lot of hard work during the summer vacation. Chui Tong went from being stunned by the praise at first to proudly lifting her chin and basking in the admiring gazes of her classmates. Then the math teacher suddenly changed the topic and kindly invited her. Classmate Chui Tong, could you come up to the podium and explain your problem-solving approach to the class? Chui Tong, who had been basking in the praise, immediately changed her expression upon hearing this, hesitating. Teacher, the math teacher, thinking she was just shy, encouraged her even more enthusiastically. It's okay, go ahead boldly. This is the first time, and there will be countless more times. Let's all encourage her together. The classroom erupted into a neat, unified round of applause once again. Amid the applause, Chui Tong's expression grew even more unpleasant. Seeing her embarrassed state, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Chui Tong glared fiercely at me, his eyes filled with warning, afraid that I would spoil things at this moment. Revealing the matter about the Harvard senior, I wouldn't be that foolish. Messing with her like that is pointless, and it might even backfire on me. I cooperatively made a zipping motion over my mouth and put on a look of fear. Seeing that she had me under control, Chui Tong finally withdrew her gaze. Teacher, I'm feeling a bit unwell in my stomach right now, so I might not be able to complete your task. She suddenly clutched her stomach, putting on a pained expression. The math teacher believed her and even kindly suggested she go to the infirmary. Chui Tong, probably afraid of being called on again later, actually took the opportunity to go and didn't return for the entire class. However, during the break, when she came back, several classmates who usually loved math immediately gathered around her desk with their test papers. Xiao Tong, I didn't quite understand the solution the teacher just explained in class. The teacher said to ask you if I have any questions. Could you explain it to me? And here, I don't understand this either, Xiao Tong, and this problem, individually, each of these people's math scores could easily surpass Chui Tong's by a wide margin. Chui Tong's face flushed red and then turned pale with embarrassment, finally blurting out, sorry, I'm still not feeling well, so I might not be able to help you with the answer. A few classmates left with their test papers, looking somewhat disappointed. I twirled my pen, watching her act. Chui Tong, you can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever. 10. Chui Tong returned home and boasted extensively about her achievement of moving up another rank and being the only student in the entire grade to score a perfect mark in mathematics. Her mother was overjoyed to hear this and immediately called her father to share the news. Her father, who also placed great importance on his daughter's academic performance, primarily for the sake of prestige, was equally delighted. So when I heard about the only perfect score in math in the whole grade, I decided to show off and immediately suggested organizing a dinner. Chui Tong originally didn't plan to let me go, but her mom glanced at me before leaving and casually asked me a question. Lingling, how many points did you get in math this time? I pretended to be embarrassed, blushing and looking down while fidgeting with my fingernails. Not very good, I almost failed. Auntie laughed heartily. Ha 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 ha, what's going on, Lingling? You used to always get first place. but now failing is not acceptable, if you don't understand something, just ask our Xiaotong. Come on, let's go have a meal with Auntie. If I go, it won't just be for a meal, I'll be there to serve as a foil to their precious daughter. It's no fun just showing off your own daughter, it's much more interesting to praise one while putting down another. Without comparison, there would be no joy. At the dinner table, after just a few polite words, the conversation quickly turned to me and Chui Tong. Their math exams are so difficult these days, I heard. They're as tough as the questions from the National Math Olympiad, my aunt said. Another person at the table, whose child was also a senior at No. 3 high school, chimed in. Absolutely. Our Kiki was also complaining to me when she got her results today, saying the math problems were too hard. There was only one perfect score in the whole grade, and it seems the student's last name is also Chui, named Chui something. Oh, Chui Tong. Mr. Su, your memory. Chui Tong is none other than our Mr. Chui's daughter. Oh my, how could I forget, Mr. Chui? Your daughter is truly remarkable. She's definitely on track for Tsinghua or Peking University in the future. The aunt and uncle instantly chuckled with delight, their faces beaming with smiles, while still managing to offer insincere pleasantries. To be honest, I'm usually busy with work and don't have much time to supervise her studies. Fortunately, the child is self-motivated, really self-motivated, hahaha. With such excellent results, there's no need to worry at all, just keep up this level, and you can choose between Tsinghua and Harvard at will. These words made Uncle's heart bloom with joy, and Chui Tong herself was also quite proud. After a round of praise for Chui Tong, the focus shifted to me. Auntie put away her smile and put on a worried expression. Xiaotong doesn't give us much to worry about, but Lingling's grades, I'm still quite concerned. They're both sisters, so their grades shouldn't be too far apart, right? Lingling, how many points did you get in math? The comparison is here, and it's time for me to perform, I mumbled. I almost passed. The atmosphere became awkward for a moment. It was a stark contrast to the mood just moments ago, when everyone learned that Chui Tong had scored full marks in math. Hee, it's okay. Nowadays, there are still many good vocational colleges to choose from. Just pick a major carefully when the time comes. Chui Tongking by. I'll just pick a major at a junior college, stepping on others without leaving any room. Chui Tong was also praised to the point of feeling elated, as if one foot had already stepped into the gates of Harvard. So, out of a moment of kindness, she generously wrapped her arm around mine and said, "Don't worry, sis, I'll help you pick a good vocational college when the time comes." Okay, I really thank you. I smiled. The atmosphere throughout the entire dinner was quite surreal. The way everyone at the table praised Chui Tong made it seem, to an outsider, like they were celebrating her admission to Tsinghua or Peking University, just what I had in mind. Now, parents, relatives, teachers, and classmates all know she's a top student, so, Chui Tong, with the mood set like this, you won't feel comfortable scoring low in the future, will you? Well then, I'm going to start 11 first. I'll cut off her social connections in the class and let her experience the feeling of being isolated. Chui Tong's unique perfect score made my uncle extremely pleased. After last night's dinner, he even promised to buy her an apartment in Beijing and a luxury car for her to use in college as soon as she graduates from high school. This pie made Chui Tong extremely happy, so happy that she immediately contacted her Harvard senior sister. Senior sister, you should keep doing this business, right? Can you continue until I graduate from high school? See, the purpose of the dinner party is revealed. Now that she wants to firmly establish her academic genius persona, she can only keep turning to the Harvard senior for help. I replied, "Don't worry, of course I'll take on the money-making tasks, Chui Tong. Money is not an issue, but senior, remember that the business at No. 3 high school is only for me, I know the rules." Chui Tong probably felt at ease now. Someone who used to study a bit before has completely given up. He daydreams in class and messes around after school, leaving his books like waste paper. Midterms came quickly, and Chui Tong approached me again. Chui Tong, senior, I'd like to buy a midterm prediction paper. Knowing Chui Tong was determined to have it, I deliberately raised the price. How could I not take advantage of such an easy target? Chui Tong agreed without hesitation. I sent the test paper over. She still wore her short skirt to the exam. When it was time to announce the results, she was confident of victory. Of course, it would go as she wished. Ranked 6th in our class, Chui Tong has improved once again compared to the last time. Not only did she get a perfect score in math, but this time, Chui Tong also achieved a perfect score in the science comprehensive exam. This time, The physics section of the science comprehensive exam had a rather tricky question. The physics teacher held Chui Tong's test paper and looked at it with a smile for a long time. Chui Tong, last time you shone brightly in the math exam, and now it's finally my physics turn. This question had a low correct rate across the whole grade. I heard that only you and Su Jia from class 8 could answer it. I saw that Su Jia's solution was more traditional. Could you come up and explain your problem-solving process? Chui Tong was quite skilled at this, using the old trick. Teacher, I have a cold, and my head hurts a bit now. I might need to go to the infirmary. Then you should take care of your health. Go ahead quickly. I smiled. Chui Tong skipped another class. After returning, there were still classmates gathered around her seat, hoping she could help explain. This time she was truly annoyed, and her young lady temper flared up. Why don't you listen in class and come ask me after? I don't have time for you. Go away. Stop crowding around me. Silence. There was also a hint of awkwardness. The people gathered around him exchanged glances, then dispersed. In the class, there were a few outspoken individuals who couldn't stand her behavior and openly criticized it. Getting a perfect score is nothing to brag about. What's the big deal? Last time when I asked her about the final math problem, didn't she refuse to help explain it? It's just being stingy, afraid that others' grades will surpass hers. Green tea bitch. Even if she gets good grades, I still look down on her. The voices were not small, and Chui Tong heard every word clearly. She was already a bit unhappy earlier, and now her temper soared even more. She stood up and went straight over to confront those people. What are you few bottom of the class trash talking about here? I'm embarrassed for you. With those scores, I suggest you don't even take the college entrance exam. Just go for vocational college admissions. Otherwise, you might not even get into a vocational college. Those girls had fiery tempers too and stood up to argue back. Chui Tong, don't think you can act all arrogant just because you've improved lately. The outcome isn't set in stone yet, and if you're so amazing, why don't you try getting into Tsinghua or Peking University? Perhaps the praise from that dinner party and her recent good grades had gone to Chui Tong's head, and now, with her temper flaring, she had lost all reason. Chui Tong agreed directly. Fine, let's take the exam. When the time comes, you'll kneel down and call me grandma. Call you grandma. If you fail the exam, you'll kneel down and call me grandma. And so the feud began, with the whole class witnessing the bet. However, the matter didn't end there. Next up was math class 12. Chui Tong, who had consistently scored full marks in math, had become the math teacher's favorite. So, after finishing the basic problems, the teacher enthusiastically invited Chui Tong to come up to the podium. For the last big problem, I noticed your solution method is quite innovative. How about coming up this time to explain it? Before Chui Tong could even come up with an excuse, the classmates who had just argued with her after class immediately chimed in. Teacher, us poor students aren't qualified to listen to Chui Lu's lecture. She's aiming for Tsinghua or Peking University. She's too noble. Not the same kind of person as us who are only fit for single admission exams. The math teacher also sensed the underlying meaning and frowned, criticizing the student who spoke. Speak properly, we're all classmates here. What's with the weird tone? All right then, I'll help. The teacher extend a warm invitation to her. Miss Chui, could you please explain the last problem to us? Or, are you heading to the infirmary again? Her friends burst into laughter. I also looked at Chui Tong and smiled. I said, if you want a high score, I can give it to you, but it depends on whether you can handle it. Clearly, she couldn't handle it. The answers were all memorized. How could she possibly understand the problem-solving approach? Go up. Can't speak. Don't go up. Get mocked. Chui Tong's hands were tightly clenched on the edge of the table, just as the teacher and classmates' gazes were focused on her. Without saying a word, she stood up and ran out of the classroom. The math teacher was probably witnessing her temper for the first time and called out to her in surprise. Hey, Chui Tong, where are you going during class time? The student who had been opposing her sarcastically replied, of course, she's going out to hide because she doesn't want to explain the problems to us. The whole class let out a collective sigh. After all, everyone saw that Chui Tong, who had scored high marks herself, was completely unwilling to help her classmates. After that, she gradually began to be isolated by her classmates, perhaps because various subject teachers and classmates had reported to the homeroom teacher about Chui Tong's excessive arrogance. During a self-study session one day, the homeroom teacher took her out for a long talk. I vaguely overheard a few sentences. Xiao Tong, your classmates say you're too proud and unwilling to help them with their problems. The teacher also mentioned that you might have a bit of a temper and perhaps need to work on it. While good grades are important, the Teacher hopes we can all get along well with each other. When she returned, Chui Tong wore a look of defiance on her face. The homeroom teacher looked utterly helpless. It was clear that the communication had not been successful. In the evening, Chui Tong sent a message to the Harvard senior. Chui Tong, senior, if I intentionally skip a few questions on the test you gave me, would that mean I wouldn't get a perfect score? It seems Chui Tong is now struggling to bear the weight of this perfect score honor. After all, being isolated by classmates and having talks with teachers is starting to take its toll, but often, it's impossible to have the best of both worlds, holding on to a grade that isn't truly yours, yet still hoping to be popular among peers. That's nothing but a fool's dream. This is disrespecting my hard work. You might as well not buy from me. Chui Tong was clearly flustered when she saw my message. No, senior, I didn't mean it that way. It's just that the practice questions you gave were so accurate. I always score high, and now I'm feeling a bit guilty. I also softened up and took a gentler approach with her. First, I can't guarantee that I'll always predict the questions correctly. Second, I don't know if you got all the other questions right except for the ones you didn't copy. What if, in the next practice test, only the questions you didn't copy turn out to be correct? If you end up with a low score under these circumstances, I'm sorry, but I won't refund the money. Given the uncertainty in predicting questions, I still recommend copying the answers each time. Chui Tong, alright. I put down my phone. The uncertainty of hitting the right topic is, of course, false. Don't back down. Chui Tong, it's not over yet. 13. Then, in each subsequent exam, Chui Tong gradually made progress, ranked 5th in the final exam of the first semester of senior year, 4th place in the opening exam of the second semester of senior year, 3rd place in the monthly exam, 2nd place in the midterm exam, 1st place in the first mock college entrance exam, finally climbed to the 1st place. She also went from initial panic to gradually enjoying the feeling of being the top student who leaves everyone else in the dust. Of course, what she lost was the goodwill of all her classmates. Although she achieved excellent grades, she still couldn't explain problems to anyone or agree to any teacher's request to give a lecture on stage, so she became the one with good grades but a proud attitude. Even the teachers would sigh when mentioning her good grades, but her personality seemed lacking. In short, her reputation was quite poor. However, Chui Tong didn't care, because every time she scored high marks, her father would give her a rather generous reward. This is her motivation to copy the answers without hesitation. She is moving forward, while I am still falling behind. Now I'm probably hovering around the 30th place. Chui Tong simply looks down on such grades and even occasionally mocks me with sarcasm. This suits me perfectly. In my previous life, because I performed too well, my college entrance exam results were coveted by Chui Tong's family. In this life, I will protect my own achievements, making myself forever ordinary in their eyes. But, Chui Tong, it's time for you to experience the feeling of falling now. The second mock exam for the college entrance exam is coming soon. My Harvard senior account is ringing like crazy. Chui Tong, senior, I'm here to buy the second mock exam prediction papers. I didn't reply. Chui Tong, are you there, senior? Chui Tong, senior, say something. Chui Tong, senior, do you think the price is too low? I can offer more. Chui Tong, senior, please reply quickly. It's urgent. The exam is tomorrow. Chui Tong, senior, senior, didn't you say this business would continue until I graduate from high school? Until the night before the second mock exam, Chui Tong was still struggling, constantly sending messages to the Harvard senior. However, I didn't reply to any of them. Chui Tong was probably getting anxious. She immediately came over and knocked on my door, asking fiercely, "What's your current ranking in the class?" I still put on a timid appearance. I was 33rd in the first mock exam. She looked at me with disdain. "How can you be so stupid? You've regressed so much." I lowered my head and said nothing. She gritted her teeth and still said, "Remember to let me copy during the second mock exam tomorrow. But my grades are really poor. Just do as I say and copy it for me. No need for all that talk." Even though it's only 33rd place, it's still much better than what she could have achieved on her own. That's why she's so anxious to come to me now. I agreed to her request. She left satisfied. However, the next day, I didn't go to take the exam. 14. At the end of the exam day, Chui Tong rushed home in a rage. "Xiao Tong is back. How did the exam go today? Were the questions difficult? Leave me alone." She was so angry that she even ignored her mother's concern about her exam situation. She rushed straight into my room and loudly demanded, "Why didn't you go to the exam today?" I pulled up my clothes to show her the marks of hives on my body. I didn't know I was allergic to wheat. This morning, I accidentally ate wheat bread that contained wheat flour, which caused an allergic reaction and hives. I was so uncomfortable that I had to take leave and go to the hospital for an injection. Why? Didn't you tell me? Do you know how much you've messed me up? I'm definitely going to fail this exam. I know, I did it on purpose. I also know I'm allergic to wheat, so I ate it intentionally. I went to great lengths just to make you score low, but I looked apologetic. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Don't worry, no matter what, I'll be at the bottom. I missed the exam, so I'm definitely getting a 0. Who said you could be at the bottom? I want to be first. What a pipe dream. Throughout the entire senior year of high school, ever since having the cheat code of the Harvard senior sister to help, Chui Tong hardly studied at all, so, in this second mock exam, relying solely on her own abilities, Chui Tong scored second to last, thanks to me, the one who missed the exam and ended up at the bottom. Otherwise, she would have been last. That was close. When the results came out, the whole class fell into an eerie silence once again. After a while, the girl who had made the bet with Chui Tong burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, oh my, this old horse losing its footing is just too exaggerated, going from first in the class to last place, and the one at the bottom is even someone who missed the exam. If Ling Ling had taken the exam, she would have ranked around 30th at least. Some people are just laughable. Still dreaming of Tsinghua and Peking University, Chui Tong was so furious that she stormed off, standing up and ready to go over and pull hair to start a fight. Say that again if you dare. I said you're the last in line. So what? Want to fight? Come on, I'm not afraid of you. The two of them were really about to start fighting but were pulled apart by their classmates. In the end, both of them were called to the homeroom teacher's office. When Chui Tong returned to the classroom, she slumped over her desk and cried loudly. However, no one went to comfort her. Some even whispered behind her back that she deserved it. I picked up my backpack and left. Cry a little more, Chui Tong. These are the tears you deserve to shed. 15. The abysmal results of the second mock exam ignited the fiery temper of Chui Tong's father. Upon returning home, he immediately unleashed a torrent of scolding upon Chui Tong. What kind of grades are these? Weren't you doing quite well before? What on earth is this? And he tried to intervene from the side. Oh, what's the big deal if a child fails occasionally? You don't succeed in every business deal either, so why keep scolding? The child is already crying. What's the point of this? Chui Tong scored twice. With red eyes, she ran back to her room and burst into tears again. However, this is not as simple as an occasional failure. After ranking at the bottom in the second mock exam, it didn't spark Chui Tong's motivation to study. Instead, it ignited her determination to desperately contact the Harvard senior sister. She insisted on sending me over a dozen messages every day, begging me in every way for the prediction papers. I still didn't reply to a single message. At the same time, she was also making backup plans, searching everywhere for senior students who could provide prediction papers. I don't know how her search went, but anyway, on the night before the third mock exam, she barged into my room again. This time, she was truly desperate, her eyes rimmed with red. Tomorrow, you must go take the exam and find a way to let me copy your answers. I'll wake you up in the morning, you'll eat what I eat, and then come with me to the exam. It seems the new person who could provide practice papers hasn't been found, so they're coming back to cling to my thin little leg. I said okay. On the day of the third mock exam, Chui Tong stuck by my side like a personal bodyguard. It wasn't until we entered the classroom together that she finally let out a sigh of relief. She repeatedly emphasized to me, remember, you must pass me the answers later. I nodded silently. The exam officially began. Half an hour later, clutching my stomach, I raised my hand. Teacher, my stomach hurts. Then, before the invigilator could come over, I slumped onto the desk and fainted. When the other teachers carried me out, my half-open eyes saw Chui Tong glaring at me with resentment. Sorry about that. Work hard on your own, Chui Tong. Use your abilities to score at the bottom. 16. The results of the third mock exam are out. Chui Tong did not disappoint at all. He set a new historical low, after excluding me, the student who missed the exam due to a stomach illness relapse. Chui Tong was not only the last in the class but also the last in the entire grade. One could say it was a failure. The second time, I don't know how to explain it, I even went all out to mock her. Wow, this is the strength of a Tsinghua and Peking University pre-admission student. It's really laughable, still telling me to participate in the early admission for a junior college. Look at my score now. What's my score? A is also a person with ambition. Ever since making that, Grandma, bet with Chui Tong last time. He has been striving hard and making progress in every subsequent exam. Now he ranks in the upper tier of his grade. Even if he can't get into a 985 or 211 university, he can probably get into a double first-class university. As for Chui Tong, based on his current grades, it's safe to say he won't be able to get into any undergraduate university. Even deliberately read out Chui Tong's score loudly in class. Forget about Tsinghua and Peking University. How about Shandong Lanxiang? Learn some excavator skills, and later have your dad buy you a big excavator to play with. The whole class burst into laughter. This time, Chui Tong couldn't utter a single word in rebuttal. She bit her lip desperately, tears falling drop by drop onto the table. Once the top student that everyone envied, she had now fallen to the bottom of the grade, mocked by everyone. She was crying so miserably. She panicked, with the college entrance exam drawing closer. No matter how hard she tried, her abysmal, rock-bottom grades just wouldn't improve. After returning home, her father scolded her again. He said if she didn't do well in the exams again, she wouldn't get any car or house. He had previously told relatives and friends that she was a sure candidate for Tsinghua or Peking University, and now with such low scores, it was utterly embarrassing. This time, even her mother didn't know how to comfort her. Chui Tong cried loudly. I went back to get my phone and logged into the account of the Harvard senior sister. I sent a message to Chui Tong. Sorry, I couldn't reply to messages during this time because I went to a meeting with the college entrance exam question-setting group teachers, and my phone was confiscated. After a while, Chui Tong probably went back to her room. She just replied to my message. Chui Tong, Senior, are you saying that you're also responsible for setting the college entrance exam questions? Seeing this question, I'm certain that Chui Tong not only had a mental breakdown but also lost her mind from crying. The teachers in the question-setting group are usually selected by the Education Bureau, and you are only notified at the last minute, the day before the centralized question setting begins, with a requirement for confidentiality. Once you enter, you are confined until the college entrance examination is over before you can be released. There is no possibility of being released before the college entrance examination ends after going to set the questions, but Chui Tong was probably truly panicked. Desperately seeking help and even biting at the bait I casually threw out. However, it's a good thing she bit, otherwise, would have had to waste more words trying to convince her that I could still produce college entrance exam prediction papers, but I still need to be more tactful in how I speak. I'm sorry, but I can't say what I shouldn't say. Chui Tong, I understand, Senior, because of your 2 absences. I've been really unlucky this time. Please, can you give me a set of college entrance exam prediction papers? I'm willing to pay any amount for them. I can give them to you, but you have to remember, I said nothing. I'm just a senior, and what I'm giving you are just prediction papers. When the college entrance exam results come out and you get into your ideal university, that's what you tell everyone. Otherwise, we could both get into trouble, understand? I deliberately emphasized the seriousness of the matter. The more she heard, the more she believed I knew something, so she eagerly agreed. I understand, I promise. As soon as I get the exam paper, I'll delete you immediately, leaving no trace, as if you never existed. Then, I casually put together a set of exam papers for her, a set of questions that had nothing to do with the college entrance exam, but she, holding this set of questions, looked like a victorious general. First, she assured her parents that she would definitely achieve excellent results in this college entrance exam and get into a university that would make them incredibly proud. Then, she defied her previous weak performance in the second and third mock exams and went to challenge A. Is the bet we made with your aunt still on? A chuckled. Do you think you can turn things around and get into Tsinghua or Peking University in just over 10 days? None of your business. Just tell me, does it count or not? Of course it counts, my dear grandson. You just wait. Chui Tong threatened. The final sprint time. Chui Tong finally started taking the exam seriously. However, she was desperately memorizing the prediction papers given to her by the Harvard senior. After all, the strictness of invigilation for the college entrance exam is considered the highest level nationwide, as it is a test that receives intense attention from the entire society. The probability of cheating in the examination hall is very low, so her only option was to desperately memorize the answers. This was probably the most intense period of studying for her during her senior year of high school. 10 years of sharpening a sword, and now the blade was ready to be drawn. With the high level of attention from the entire society, the annual college entrance examination began. Teachers and parents dressed in various cheongsams are seeing off the exam takers at the school gate. Chui Tong and I are at different exam centers. Uncle and aunt escorted Chui Tong to the exam all the way, while I went to the exam center alone, holding the exam admission ticket. I looked at the exam center, which was exactly the same as in my previous life. It's a lie to say I'm not excited. This time, there's finally no need to hide my achievements anymore. Finally, I can also reclaim the life that Chui Tong stole from me in my previous life. The bell for the final exam rang, the blade is sheathed, the dust has settled. The first thing I did when I returned to Chui Tong's house was to pack my luggage. I need to catch the earliest bus home tomorrow morning. This time, I will definitely not go street racing with Chui Tong again, and I will never let the Chui family know how many points I scored. Until everything is settled, I must protect myself and my scores. After finishing the last exam, Chui Tong's face turned pale. She probably realized that not a single question from the prediction papers given by the Harvard senior was on the exam, and because of the bold words she had spoken before the exam, her uncle had already arranged a gathering tonight to celebrate his daughter's completion of the college entrance exams. Actually, I intended to give a heads up that his daughter would achieve excellent results in the exams and could later attend Tsinghua Harvard. She refused in a daze. Dad, I'm a bit tired from the exams. Can I skip dinner tonight? Is that okay? How can that be? You're the star of the evening. Come with me for dinner first. You have such a long holiday ahead. You can sleep as much as you want when we get back. Chui Tong suddenly broke down and shouted, "It's gone, it's all gone. What Tsinghua Harvard? It's all gone. Not a single question was right, not a single one was predicted. I have no school to attend anymore." Her uncle and aunt were taken aback by her sudden cry and hurried over to ask what was going on. In the end, Chui Tong didn't say anything at all. Speaking up would only be like lifting a rock to drop it on her own foot. If her uncle found out that her grades for the past year were all copied, he would be furious, but the fact that my daughter failed the exam is set in stone. Then, I saw my aunt pull my uncle back into the room. I had a rough idea of what they were discussing. I just sat quietly in the room, waiting. My door was knocked. When my aunt came in and saw that I had packed my luggage, her eyes flickered. "Lingling, are you in such a hurry to go home?" I nodded and said that I had been away for so long and missed home. She went around in circles with a bunch of polite talk before finally asking the question she cared about most. "Lingling, how did you do on the college entrance exam?" In my previous life, I was too honest. When they asked about my grades, I told them the truth, and then my life was taken over. This time, I won't be that foolish again. Tears welled up in my eyes. I didn't do very well. After estimating my score, I might really have to go to a junior college. Aunt frowned. "Didn't you always rank first before?" "That was when I graduated from junior high. My grades throughout my senior year of high school have been very poor, completely incomparable to Xiaodong's little toe." She looked embarrassed, turned to give uncle a meaningful glance, and then left my room. When I went out to get water at night, I accidentally overheard their conversation. Back then, we brought her up just to have a backup for Lingling. If Lingling didn't do well in the exams, she could take her place and go to college. Who would have thought her college entrance exam results would be so poor too? I specifically called her homeroom teacher to ask, and her grades this year have indeed been average, always at the bottom. It's really worrying. Let's think of another way for Xiao Tong. I grabbed a bottle of water and went back to my room. Early the next morning, I immediately took a bus home. On the day the results were released, my parents and I sat together in front of the computer. When she saw there was no score, my mom panicked. "Lingling, what's going on? How come there's no score?" "My score is protected. Harvard is definitely within reach." After I explained to my mom, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, I repeatedly reminded them that no matter who asks about my score, just say I didn't do well. Sure enough, not long after, my aunt called my mom. She probably still wasn't willing to give up and wanted to confirm one last time how many points I actually got. She still didn't want to let me off the hook, wanting to take over my life. My mom did as I said, sighing that I had messed up the exam and probably wouldn't be able to get into any school. In her eyes, my mother was an honest person who couldn't possibly lie, so she believed it without a doubt. Later, Harvard sent the admission letter to my home. Upon hearing the news, Chui Tong went into a rage, smashing things at home. "Didn't you say I would take her place to go to college? I want to go to Harvard. It should be me." But there was no chance anymore. In this lifetime, I was not framed by her and sent to prison again. and the admission letter clearly bore my name. I specifically asked my mom to take a photo of me with the admission letter and send it to Chui Tong. Group photo. Harvard is out of the question, but you can attend the Excavator Technology School. Classmate A is said to have performed exceptionally well and got into a 211 university. After learning that Chui Tong had performed poorly in the exam, she publicly asked Chui Tong to call her auntie in the group chat, but Chui Tong pretended to be dead and didn't respond, and in the end, she simply blocked A and left the group. That bet was a total loss. In the end, I heard that Chui Tong spent a lot of money to attend a private vocational college, started dating a troublemaker as soon as she got in, and even got pregnant. See, stolen things never last long, only hard work can create all possibilities. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My roommate enjoys dating, having 5 or 6 relationships at once, sometimes even more than 10. She wasn't feeling well, so I advised her to go to the hospital for a checkup. She was scared and insisted on taking me along. Unexpectedly, all 4 infectious disease tests came back with issues. I was terrified and immediately moved out of the dorm, urging the other roommates to leave as well. I never expected that after writing a suicide note, she would jump to her death, blaming all the mistakes on me. The other roommates called me cold-blooded and led an online bullying campaign against me. After suffering from severe depression, I was hit by a car in a daze and died. When I opened my eyes again, I told her to drink more hot water and then slipped away. 01, yen. I feel so terrible. Lin Sinny's voice, filled with unbearable pain, reached my ears. It took me a moment to come back to my senses. I was reborn in the second before. I persuaded Lin Sinny to go to the hospital. Lin Sinny is a sea queen, who loves to challenge all kinds of men. She had already collected all 12 zodiac signs in middle school. Now her goal is to complete 1,000 conquests by the time she finishes college. She often says we're boring, that youth should be about enjoying love, all kinds of love, but love has its bitter and sweet moments. She frequently takes emergency contraceptives, suffers from various gynecological issues, yet still moves between different men. This isn't the first time she's felt unwell, but this time even painkillers aren't working. In my previous life, I advised her to go to the hospital for a checkup, but she said she was scared and insisted on dragging me along. I saw that her face was pale and she was drenched in cold sweat. Since we were classmates, I accompanied her to the hospital. Unexpectedly, all 4 infectious disease tests came back with issues. After the results came out, she claimed there was a problem with the hospital's report and insisted that she couldn't possibly be sick. But this is the People's Hospital, the best one in the area. Lin Sinny asked me to accompany her to get checked at another hospital. I didn't agree. After returning to school, I immediately moved out of the dorm and also informed the other roommates, telling them to leave quickly. 02. Because of this, Lin Sinny grew to resent me. She jumped off the building, leaving a 5,000-word suicide note filled with fabricated reasons, each word describing the harm I had caused her. I tried hard to prove my innocence, but I never expected my other 2 roommates to go live on stream, accusing me of bullying Lin Sinny. Seeing the continuous stream of tips from netizens, they portrayed me as extremely malicious to attract more viewers. They became overnight sensations, turning into major influencers, while I could never clear my name. This time, let the 3 of them fight among themselves. I said calmly, drink more hot water, and you'll feel better soon. The counselor needs to see me, so I'll head over first. Lin Sinny curled up and softly replied, I grabbed my phone, bank card, and bag, then hurried out. I'm going to tell my counselor that I won't be living on campus, and I plan to rent a place off campus. I can't stand staying in this dorm for even one more day. I'm now a senior, and some of my classmates have already started internships. The school isn't very strict about it anyway, so if you want to live off campus, you just need to register with your counselor. As soon as I finished explaining the situation to my counselor, a message popped up in the WeChat group chat with my roommates. Xin isn't feeling well, so I'm taking her to the hospital. Can you guys clean up the room? The message was from Li Shaili, who in my previous life had slandered me the most viciously. To gain more rewards, she even pinned everything Lin Sinny had done on me, claiming that I was the one who was sick and had infected Lin Sinny, leading her to jump off a building in despair. I didn't reply, pretending I hadn't seen it. It's Monday today, the day of the big inspection, but I'm about to move out anyway, so what does it have to do with me? 03. After getting permission from my advisor, I immediately contacted an agent to look at apartments. I only viewed 3 before settling on one. I got the key and quickly returned to the dorm to pack my luggage. I only took the essentials, leaving behind the things that Lin Sinny had used. I finished packing in no time. I sent a message in the group chat. I found an internship, and sometimes I'll have to work overtime, so I won't be staying in the dorm. Feel free to use whatever I left behind. If you don't take advantage of a bargain, you're a fool. All 3 of them expressed reluctance to see me go, then congratulated me on landing the internship. I sent a few more photos, showing the things I had left behind. Use them if you can. If not, just throw them away. These are all good things. I don't believe they won't use them. Once they start using them together, who knows what might happen. Lying on the bed in my rented apartment, my tense nerves finally began to relax a little. Although the environment is unfamiliar, I just feel a strong sense of security. The group chat was very quiet. None of them were speaking. Logically speaking, Lin Sinny's results should have come out by now. I sent a message. How is Xinshin feeling? Is she still unwell? 04. Another roommate who stayed at school, Wang Shiping, also followed up with a question. Lin Sinny is a queen of the sea, with many boyfriends and even more admirers, who have given her countless snacks. Over the years, our dorm has never been short of food, so everyone gets along fairly well on the surface, especially the 3 of them. Their relationship is exceptionally close. They happily accept all the high-end skincare products Lin Sinny can't use up, the bags she doesn't like, and the clothes she's only worn a few times, so they were still very worried about Lin Sinny's health. After a long time, Li Shaili finally replied, "It's fine, Xinshin is in good health, we'll be back soon." I don't know if Lin Sinny didn't tell her the truth, or if she chose to hide it. Anyway, I keep my distance from them. What does it have to do with me? However, I've decided to go to the hospital for a checkup tomorrow just to be on the safe side. In my previous life, I went to get checked, and there were no issues, but the excited netizens claimed I had photoshopped it. They have already labeled me as a bad person. No matter how I explain, they always find excuses to refute me. Not long after, Lin Sinny said in the group chat that she wanted to treat everyone to a meal. I refused. I will refuse all activities related to Lin Sinny. At most just stand by and watch, and then add a sarcastic remark. 05. They went to have a lavish meal, costing 1,000 yuan per person, and posted many photos in the group chat. Their social media feeds were filled with 9 square grid collages, and many classmates were envious of our dorm. Lin Sinny specifically posted several photos of handsome guys in the group chat and then tagged me. "You're missing out if you don't come. They're all from sports schools, with great figures. I have absolutely no interest in men right now, especially not the ones Lin Sinny introduces. I'm afraid they might have issues. Being single solves everything." I replied, "Have fun, you guys." Now I can tell that Lin Sinny knows she has issues. Li Shaili isn't sure, and Wang Shiping definitely doesn't know. There's a photo of her staring dreamily at a handsome guy. Lin Sinny never introduced handsome guys to us before. She definitely has ulterior motives, wanting to drag someone down with her. In my previous life, I only told my roommate, and then many people found out. Lin Sinny couldn't drag anyone down anymore, and in the end, she left a suicide note that killed me. In this life, I don't plan to tell anyone, and I have no evidence. Speaking up would only bring trouble. Late at night, Lin Sinny sent me a photo of Wang Shiping drinking a cross-cupped wine toast with a handsome guy. Yen, what type of man do you like? I have a lot of resources, and I know whether they're any good or not. Then, she sent me dozens of photos of handsome guys. 06. Lin Sinny must know who has issues, right? She's determined to drag me into the fire pit. I simply pretended not to see it, turned on silent mode, and went back to sleep. It's been a long time since I've had a good night's sleep. The next morning, there were hundreds of unread messages, including private messages from Lin Sinny, with the majority coming from the roommate group chat. Lin Sinny had gifted them many bags, clothes, and skincare products, and she had also prepared a set for me, asking me to pick it up when I had time. The 2 of them were overjoyed, constantly changing into new outfits to take photos. Li Shaili's face was beaming with a bright smile, and it seemed she was also unaware of Lin Sinny's illness. I was puzzled. In my previous life, Lin Sinny had said she was scared and asked me to help her retrieve the report. Logically, Li Shaili would definitely see it. If Lin Sinny had also been reborn, then everything could be explained. I was just about to reply to a message when Lin Sinny called. She was in such a hurry. I thought about it and decided to answer the call. Yen, you lied to me. You never went for an internship. Please move back soon. Without you, I feel so lonely. Does she know something? I replied calmly. I'm doing fine outside. I don't want to go back. Have fun, you all. What does it matter to me whether she, Lin Sinny, is lonely or not? It was just an excuse anyway. What does it matter if she knows? 07 Lin Sinny's pitiful voice came through. Yen Yen, do you hate me so much that you want to move out? A cruel smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. She really wants me to go back that badly. Does she really have to drag me down with her to die? Lin Sinny, what does it matter to you whether I go back or not? Do you live by the sea? Why do you have to meddle in everything? I never had much of a connection with her to begin with, and I rarely touched the food or things she brought back. Besides, I also bought snacks to bring to the dormitory and shared them with everyone. I don't owe her anything. Lin Sinny changed her tone. Su Shiyan, what do you mean? I'm going to tell the counselor. You have to come back. A flicker of killing intent flashed in my eyes. Lin Sinny, are you out of your mind? Upon hearing my words, the other side fell silent for a moment, then started screaming frantically. Su Shiyan, you're the one who's sick. Your whole family is sick. Do you believe I can kill you? Great. It seems she hasn't escaped those messy illnesses in this lifetime either, I said calmly. Why are you so worked up? Did you really find out you have some serious illness yesterday? 08. Lin Sinny cursed a couple more times before hanging up the phone. I happily went to eat hot pot to celebrate. I'm happy when Lin Sinny is unhappy, but I didn't stay happy for long before Li Shaili and the others started making sarcastic remarks about me in the group chat. Lin Sinny was crying in the dorm, telling me to hurry back and apologize. I couldn't be bothered to deal with them, so I just left the group chat. If it weren't for the fact that I still have an exam in a month and want to get my diploma, I would have moved to another city long ago. Not long after, a classmate messaged me asking what I had done wrong. As those 3 roommates were spreading rumors about me everywhere, I sent her a big red envelope and asked her to help me record a video or an audio clip. Then I went to the hospital for a checkup, and fortunately, there were no issues. The next day, I went to class. Since it was Monday, the teacher was sure to take attendance, as long as there were no major issues. Everyone would attend class. I arrived a bit late, and Lin Sinny and the other 2 were handing out snacks one by one. Seeing me come in, Li Shaili snorted coldly. What an ungrateful wretch. Shameless. Lin Sinny shot Li Shaili a glare, then handed me a box, smiling as she looked at me. Yen Yen, I was wrong yesterday. I shouldn't have been so harsh on you. We'll be graduating soon, and I just can't bear to part with you. That's why I wanted you to come back and live with us. This is a gift for you. I hope you're not angry. I didn't take it. Who knows if there's something wrong with what's inside? 09. Li Shaili wasn't happy. She sneered coldly. Don't push your luck when someone's being nice. Xin has already backed down. What more do you want? The classmates who had accepted Lin Sinny's snacks all spoke up for her, as if it would be a grave mistake for me not to accept them. I looked up at Lin Sinny. Despite the thick layer of powder on her face, I could still see the slight darkness under her eyes. Was it because she hadn't slept well at night, troubled by her illness? No need. You only scolded me for over 10 minutes. I'm not angry. I never had a good relationship with you all anyway, and moving out will make everyone more comfortable. Lin Sinny's face darkened, and she wanted to say something more, but unfortunately, the teacher arrived. She reluctantly returned to her seat, a flash of murderous intent flickering in her eyes. I didn't have much contact with her. She had too many boyfriends, sometimes having to accompany several in a single day, so she didn't spend much time in the dormitory. I don't know when I offended her, but she always seems determined to drag me down with her. After class, Lin Sinny stopped me with a group of people. Each of them was holding on to a man, looking at me triumphantly. Wang Shiping and Li Shaili were both holding on to men who had attended the party that night. Lin Sinny smiled brightly. Yen Yen, follow me, and I guarantee you'll live a life of luxury. You can pick any man here. I've tried them all. They're good. I pointed at Wang Shiping and Li Shaili's men. Did you use them too? 10. Lin Sinny wore an expression that said, of course. Wang Shiping and Li Shaili's faces darkened. I curled my lip, full of disdain. You really are close, even sharing men. I can't do it. I have a cleanliness obsession. I find it dirty. Lin Sinny rolled her eyes at me. Wake up. What era is this? Do you still expect a man to have only you from start to finish? Of course. I wouldn't demand that. It's just that I find the ones Lin Sinny has been with dirty. Li Shaili snorted coldly. You're just jealous. Xin picks wealthy, good-looking, and capable men for us. Yes, Xin is the best, Wang Shiping said shyly, looking at the handsome guy beside her and nodding in agreement. All right, as long as they like it. In my past life, I must have been blind, taking the risk to urge them to leave the dormitory quickly. They should have stayed with Lin Sinny for one last celebration. I couldn't be bothered with them, so I turned and left. Lin Sinny had someone block my way. She took out that gift box again and said with a smile, "You must accept this gift today, or I won't be able to sleep. You're so kind, you definitely won't make me sad." I didn't want to take it at first. There was no doubt something was wrong with that box. Suddenly, an idea popped into my head, and I decided to accept the gift box. 11. After I accepted the gift box, Lin Sinny happily left with them. "There's a surprise inside, you must take a look." I immediately took out alcohol from my pocket to disinfect it, then put it in a bag and carefully carried it to the Tsingyao post station. I planned to send it to Lin Sinny's parents. I've helped her send packages a few times before, so I have her address and phone number. I requested to use SF Express, hoping it could arrive by tomorrow. The staff asked to open it and check what's inside, as some items cannot be shipped. I nodded in agreement. After all, I also wanted to know what was inside. Upon opening it, there were 2 pieces of clothing, a set of skincare products, some snacks, and the most eye-catching item, a diamond necklace. It looked incredibly valuable at first glance. Lin Sinny had really gone all out. The staff asked if I wanted to purchase insurance for the package. After thinking for a moment, I still paid 50 yuan for the insurance. Lin Sinny's parents are quite stingy, and they might not even pay for cash on delivery, so I covered the shipping fee as well. I recorded the entire process on video, didn't touch anything inside, and sent it all to her parents. Hee. I hope Lin Sinny likes the gift I sent her. 12. On Friday, Lin Sinny insisted that I attend the villa party. I shook my head in refusal. That kind of party is chaotic, and her illness might have come from there. Lin Sinny looked at me coldly. "Su Shiyan, since you accepted that gift box, you must attend this gathering." Li Shaili and Wang Shiping were dressed in designer brands, their faces full of smugness. They stood beside Lin Sinny, acting as perfect sycophants. "Don't be ungrateful. Xin is taking you to broaden your horizons. I heard there are all wealthy people inside, drinking 1982 Lafite, and they'll even give each of us 100,000 as a token of appreciation. There's no such good thing. Who knows what price has to be paid for these $100,000. They weren't this foolish before. I don't know how Lin Sinny has been brainwashing them lately. Maybe it's just about throwing money at them, and their minds naturally get confused. I've decided to respect others' fate, so, just because I received a gift box, I have to listen to you. Why didn't you make that clear when you gave it to me?" Lin Sinny shrugged, took out her phone, pulled up a photo, and pointed to the invitation on the box, where the text was almost invisible. The font color was so similar to the box's color that it was really hard to notice if you weren't paying attention. Lin Sinny said with a sly smile, "Such big words, and you didn't see them." I took out my phone, opened the video, and showed it to them, looking at Lin Sinny with disdain. "Your relationship with your parents is really terrible. I sent that gift box to them for you." Lin Sinny grew anxious, her face flushed with anger. 13. "Su Shiyan, are you out of your mind? Who told you to send it? What right do you have to send it over?" Seeing her hopping mad, I couldn't help but let a smile curl at the corner of my mouth. I tilted my head and looked at her. "That day, didn't you ask me to help you mail it? Anyway, it's your stuff, you can just get it back yourself. I didn't take your gift box. You asked your parents to attend the villa party, and I even paid for the shipping and insurance fees. I don't owe you anything." Lin Sinny's face turned completely dark. She glared at me fiercely, the murderous intent in her eyes almost freezing into ice. I understand her. This time, everyone has truly torn face. I need to be careful. There's only 1 week left until the exam, which makes it very difficult for me. Lin Sinny took out her phone, made a call, and ran towards a remote area. Looking at my 2 roommates standing still, I smiled and said, "Your master has run away. If you don't go after her now, you won't even see her shadow." Li Shaili sighed. Yen, you know, my brother still needs 300,000 for the bride price. If I can't scrape together the money, I'll have to marry an old man, working honestly. I only make 3,000 a month. Even if it kills me, I can't come up with 300,000. I'm being forced into this. What does this have to do with me? All I know is that in my past life, they deliberately framed me, causing me to suffer from severe depression. At the time, I wanted to drag them down with me, but unfortunately, I was hit by a car before I even made it to school. I spoke calmly. "1 party earns you 100,000, go to 3, and you'll have saved enough. Keep it up. It'll be over soon." 14. Wang Shiping grabbed Li Shaili's hand. "Don't explain anything to her. We're young and beautiful. we can definitely find a rich second generation. When that happens, we'll blind her with our success. Last time, didn't it seem like she and her boyfriend had a pretty good relationship? How come she wants to switch to a rich second generation so quickly? It just goes to show that human greed is endless. What else can I say? I can only smile and wish them well. The next day, none of the three of them came to class, and I heard they didn't return to the dorm either. 2 more days passed before they finally showed up for class, walking with a limp, clearly having suffered quite a bit. 100,000 yuan isn't that easy to get. If it weren't for the teacher taking attendance and highlighting key points these past few days, they probably wouldn't have come to class at all. Lin Sinny mouthed silently. You just wait. I couldn't be bothered with them and ran off quickly after class. Not long after returning to the rental apartment, Lin Sinny showed up, alone. It was a bit strange, but I had no intention of opening the door. She roared angrily. Su Shiyan, I know you're in there. Open the door right now. You must have been reborn too, right? Do you know how much you've ruined me? I ignored her, moved a stool to sit by the door, and placed some melon seeds and fruit beside me. Lin Sinny is sick and doesn't seek proper treatment. Instead, thinking every day about how to drag her classmates down with her, she's really not a good person. Seeing no reaction from the people outside, she became even more agitated. Su Shiyan, aren't we good friends? Why don't you all keep me company? I've given you so many benefits. Why should I be the only one who gets sick? 15. Lin Sinny didn't think about the possibility of getting sick when she was acting recklessly. You can't walk by the river without getting your shoes wet. She deserves it. And I certainly won't feel sorry for her. I continued munching on sunflower seeds, listening to her furious outburst. Su Shiyan, the trouble shouldn't involve family. What right do you have to send the gift box to my parents? I swear, I'll make you pay for this. Sure enough, there was more to that box, and her parents might have already fallen victim. Can you blame me for this? Lin Sinny is the one who started it all. You're all bad people. I want revenge. I want to make you all sick. Great, I've been waiting for this. On the first day I moved in, I installed a surveillance camera at the door. Every move Lin Sinny made was recorded. I picked up my phone to call the police, informing them in advance that she had an infectious disease so they could prepare accordingly. Having an infectious disease and deliberately spreading it everywhere, she's just waiting to be taken in by the police. The officers will teach her a lesson. After reporting the incident to the police from the room, Lin Sinny seemed to have exhausted herself from cursing and looked like she was about to leave. This won't do. As I put on my protective suit, I said, Lin Sinny, what exactly is wrong with you? Do you know what you're doing? Hearing my voice, the person outside became even more agitated. Su Shiyan, I knew you were in there. What are you pretending for? From the moment you refused to go to the hospital with me, I knew you had also been reborn. 16. In my previous life, it was you who caused my death. If you hadn't told Li Shaili and Wang Shiping, no one would have known, and I wouldn't have been driven to jump off the building by all of you, so, you should be buried with me. That's what she thought. What about this lifetime? I clearly did nothing, yet she still wanted to drag me to death with her. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're sick, go get treatment. Trying to infect others is a crime. Lin Sinny pounded on the door with all her might, and I could see from the peephole that her hands were bleeding. I suddenly felt that my door was dirty. Su Shiyan, you get out here. Hiding inside, what kind of skill is that? Going out would be deadly. What's wrong with being a turtle for a while? I said calmly. Lin Sinny, can you just be a decent person? Do you have to make everyone suffer before you're happy? A terrorist like you, who seeks revenge on society, deserves to be despised by everyone. Lin Sinny screamed frantically. I can't accept it. Why me? You all got so many benefits. Why won't you stay with me? She pounded on the door even harder, seemingly forgetting the pain. Just as I was worried the door might break, 2 police officers arrived. Lin Sinny wanted to run, but unfortunately, she was stopped. 17. I was afraid the police would get her blood on them, so I opened the door wearing protective gear. As soon as Lin Sinny saw me, she wanted to rush over. Su Shiyan, how dare you call the police? You eat my food and use my things, and you still dare to call the police? I'm really speechless. Over 99% of her stuff was used by the other 2 roommates. Since she's rarely in the dorm, she always thought I used a lot of it too. I can't really explain this kind of situation, especially since there's no evidence, and the other 2 won't admit it either. Lin Sinny was handcuffed, her face filled with anger as she glared at me. Su Shiyan, I miscalculated this time. If I had known, I would have brought a whole group of people with me. I know she was trying to test whether I had been reborn, but anger made her forget her purpose. I showed the surveillance footage to the police and said with a serious expression, I think she wants to take revenge on society. I suggest taking her to the hospital for a checkup. If she really has an infectious disease, it must be taken seriously. Lin Sinny was so furious that if the police hadn't stopped her, she would have lunged at me. Su Shiryan, how can you be so wicked? Do you have to drive me to my death to be happy? Who is the bad one? I'm just giving them a taste of their own medicine. 18. The two police officers watched the video, their faces growing darker and darker. They escorted Lin Sinny to the hospital, and I followed, still wearing protective gear. Lin Sinny was unwilling and cursed me all the way, but she was still forced to have her blood drawn. The moment the police got the report, their faces were filled with anger. We went to the police station together again. I don't know why, but Lin Sinny suddenly had a change of heart. She confessed everything, implicating a bunch of people, including those two roommates. The police officer taking notes struggled to hold back. If it weren't for the surveillance cameras, he might have lost control and hit someone. Lin Sinny glared at me coldly. Why is Su Shiryan still fine? I had it all planned out. I can't accept this. If it weren't for the fact that I found her disgusting, I would have slapped her a few times already. Lin Sinny was taken into custody at the detention center. The police dispatched over a dozen patrol cars to the school. They arrested people based on the list provided by Lin Sinny. Li Shaili and Wang Shiping were also among them. With 1/3 of the male students in our department taken away, they were completely bewildered, and the police only asked them to cooperate with the investigation without disclosing the specific reasons to everyone. It took more than a dozen police cars 2 trips to transport them all, with over 90% being male students, all of whom had been involved with Lin Sinny. It has to be said, Lin Sinny is really something. 19. This incident alarmed the school leadership, and after understanding the situation, the school arranged for a unified physical examination. Now, another batch of people has been detected. The school leaders were on the verge of tears. If it weren't for the upcoming winter break, they would have immediately arranged a health education class. Lin Sinny was detained, while others with issues were released only after receiving education from the police and completing registration. That same day, Li Shaili and Wang Shiping came to find me. The two of them looked dejected, their eyes devoid of any light, appearing lifeless. You knew Lin Sinny was sick, didn't you? Why didn't you tell us? I told them in my previous life, but look how they treated me. Once is enough to be foolish. I looked at Li Shaili calmly. Back then, it was you who accompanied Lin Sinny to the hospital. If you had paid just a little attention, you would have noticed something was off about her. I turned to Wang Shiping. And you've been sharing a dorm with Lin Sinny for over 3 years. When has she ever introduced anyone to you? Are you all so foolish that you didn't even suspect anything? If they want to blame anyone, they should blame themselves for being greedy. What does it have to do with me? Li Shaili asked me with reddened eyes. Couldn't you have reminded us? If you had pointed out what was wrong at the time, we definitely wouldn't have gone. Seriously, do they really not know what the villa party is all about? Why would anyone be willing to pay 100,000 just for the effort? We're all adults, no need to pretend not to understand. 20. Wang Shiping cried, sobbing uncontrollably. I regret it, I really regret it. My whole life is ruined. What should I do? I don't even know how to tell my family. Li Shaili's eyes also reddened. I'm only 21 years old. If my family finds out, they'll beat me to death. Can you help us, please? In my past life, I also begged them not to spread rumors and not to let the fans cyberbully me, but they said they had long been fed up with me, acting all high and mighty every day, and that letting them become famous before I died would be a worthy death. They also said I was meddling in their business, insisting on telling them, otherwise Lin Sinny wouldn't have been forced to jump off the building. This time, I didn't meddle, and they came begging me again. They deserve it. The corners of my mouth lifted slightly. If you're sick, you should get treatment quickly. I'm not a doctor. I can't help you. Li Shaili tried to grab my hand, but I took 2 steps back. She awkwardly rubbed her hands together. Yen, we found out we can go to the US for treatment, but it's a bit expensive. Your family has money. Could you support us a little and help organize a school fundraiser? They really do see me as a sucker, ugly in appearance, but beautiful in dreams. I shook my head and refused. You've got the wrong person. It was all Lin Sinny's fault. You should go find her. She's made a lot of money over the years, definitely enough for both of you to get treatment in the US. Wang Shiping was filled with anger. She probably won't be getting out. How are we supposed to get money from her? The police have our information on record. Even checking into a hotel could get us arrested. 21. Checking into a hotel. They still want to go out and mess around to make money. Some people, once they get sick, Think about spreading it everywhere to take revenge on society, I said coldly. As long as you actively seek treatment, you won't die, but if you want to mess around, Lin Sinny is your cautionary tale. Don't think everyone is a fool. With such a big incident, almost everyone in our school knows about it. You become famous. The faces of those two men turned dark. Wang Shiping quickly shook her head, repeatedly assuring me that she wouldn't go out and cause trouble, and that I just needed to give her 100,000 yuan. I almost couldn't resist spitting at her. She really has some nerve. If Lin Sinny can't get the money, her parents must have some, right? You know their address. Go check it out. Both of their eyes lit up. Lin Sinny had often asked them to help send things, so they were very familiar with the address. They could probably even recite it from memory. Over the years, Lin Sinny had earned a lot of money. The big villa her family built, the BMW her father drove, and the large gold bracelet her mother wore all came from her efforts. In her previous life, after Lin Sinny jumped off the building, her parents kept demanding money from me because of that suicide note. When I refused to give it to them, they went to my parents' workplace to cause trouble, causing my parents to lose their jobs. They also spread rumors everywhere, saying my parents failed to raise me properly. In the end, my parents couldn't bear the gossip and moved back to their rural hometown. 22. A faint smile finally appeared on Li Shaili's face. Thanks for the reminder. We'll go after the exam. Wang Shiping clenched her fists. It's all their fault for not teaching Lin Sinny properly. They should have compensated us. If they don't give us the money, I'll make sure everyone knows what Lin Sinny did. I nodded in satisfaction and casually gave them a few more small suggestions. This time, let's see how they try to talk their way out of it. After finishing the exam, I immediately packed my bags and went home. In my previous life, I let my parents down, and now I want to make it up to them properly. I took them on a trip to Sanya, went fishing with my dad, helped my mom take photos, and we had a wonderfully comfortable time. Li Shaili and Wang Shiping led a group of people to Lin Sinny's hometown. These people were all victims, and they deeply resented Lin Sinny. They went live to demand an explanation. Our school is in the spotlight again. Last time, only a few people knew, and the news was quickly suppressed by the school. This time, they broadcasted live across the entire internet, with over 100,000 netizens watching from all over the country. It's impossible to suppress it now. Lin Sinny's parents were completely bewildered, and upon hearing that they had come to ask for money, they started cursing. The cursing was extremely harsh, and dozens of people couldn't outmatch the two of them. No one expected their fighting spirit to be so strong. 23. When they couldn't win the argument, they simply stopped cursing. Li Shaili had a few people block Lin Sinny's parents, and they all crowded into the large villa. If you don't pay up, we'll just keep living in your house. You should know, we all have infectious diseases. If we accidentally pass them on to you, you'll only have yourselves to blame. Lin Sinny's parents took 2 steps back, their faces filled with anger. Get out of here now, or I'll call the police, for the trouble Lin Sinny caused. Go find her. I might as well have never had this daughter. How could Lisa Li and the others just leave like that? They poured out their grievances on the live stream, talking about the despicable things Lin Sinny had done, and occasionally showed videos or various chat records to the netizens. It's human nature to love gossip, and the number of viewers in the live stream skyrocketed, with gifts being sent non-stop. Lisa Li and Wang Shiping exchanged a glance, unable to suppress the smiles on their faces. Lin Sinny's parents reported it to the police, but Li Shaili and the others didn't care and continued to talk about the things Lin Sinny had done in the live stream. Having lived together for over 3 years, there were plenty of chat records. Moreover, there were so many male classmates as witnesses, and their chat records were even more explicit, even including some benefit videos. Lin Sinny's reputation was completely ruined, and even her parents became infamous. 24. The police arrived, and they didn't start a fight, nor did they dare to, for fear of being slashed. Wounds like that wouldn't heal. Now, the only option is for both sides to negotiate. As the victims, Li Shaili and the others cried so pitifully that netizens couldn't bear it and started sending gifts again. They cried even more intensely. Lin Sinny's mother sat on the ground, making a scene. Don't think we're afraid of you. This illness won't kill you as long as you keep taking the medicine. Don't act all innocent. If you hadn't tried to take advantage of my daughter, would you have gotten infected? It has to be said, she was quite right. Not a single one of those people had failed to take advantage of Lin Sinny, whether financially or physically. Will they admit it? Li Shaili and the others, of course not. Anyway, it's winter break now, so they have plenty of time to drag things out. they have content for live streams and definitely won't give up on the gifts from netizens. The police couldn't handle it either and suggested they go to court to file a lawsuit. As there were more important matters to attend to, they stayed for half an hour before leaving. The two parties argued even more fiercely, but it was all verbal abuse. No one laid a hand on anyone. Wang Shiping found 2 test reports in the corner, reports of Lin Sini's parents, who were also infected with HIV. The crowd grew excited, with netizens even wishing they could fly over to witness the scene in person. Li Shaili looked at them coldly. Was Lin Sini infected by you? Are you the ones to blame? Wang Shiping added. Lin Sini hasn't gone home this entire semester, she must have been infected long ago, by her parents. 25. Lin Sini's parents shook their heads repeatedly, having already noticed the phone that was live streaming. If they admitted it, there was absolutely no way they could stay here. They cried very sadly. We received a package, and we don't know what we touched, but we got sick. I knew that box was unusual, using it on them was just right. Li Shaili and Wang Shiping were stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter, tears streaming from their eyes. Serves you right, it serves you right. That box was used by Lin Sini to harm Su Shiyan, but Su Shiyan sent it directly to you. Karma. Lin Sini's parents were filled with disbelief. Impossible, how could this be? No wonder Xin didn't let us call the police. As soon as the police are called, Lin Sini can be traced. People, you just can't do bad things. Karma might be late, but it will definitely come. The number of viewers in the live stream has exceeded 1 million, and now every website is discussing this matter. The school issued a notice overnight. Lin Sini was directly expelled, while the others were all placed on probation. If any further issues arise, they will be immediately expelled. Li Shaili and the others turned off the live stream and left in disgrace. There's only 1 semester left before graduation, and they still can't bear to part with this diploma. 26. Lin Sini was slashed by someone. Back then, she angrily smashed my door and injured her hand. I heard her hand never healed properly and got worse, so they took her to the hospital. She offended too many people, and with just one careless moment, she got slashed. Although it was just a few cuts, Lin Sini could only wait for death. Because of this, Li Shaili and the others were happy for a long time. In the last semester, Li Shaili and the others behaved very well, and the school still issued them graduation certificates, but no company wanted them, and they couldn't even get jobs handing out flyers. Who told them to broadcast live for gifts? Anyone who paid a little attention to online news knew they were sick, so who would dare hire them? Even wanting to make a quick buck is impossible. No one wants to die, so who dares to go? If it doesn't work domestically, they can only turn to foreign countries. Later, I heard they died very tragically. If they weren't accepted domestically, how could they possibly be treated well abroad? Lin Sini died with her entire body covered in sores. Her parents didn't even dare to leave their home, and no one interacted with them. It's said that they accidentally fell once and never got up again. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.